Now we turn our attention into chapter 2. David, by God's direction, goes up to Hebron, where he is made king over the tribe of Judah. Abner, the captain of Saul's army, makes Saul's son Ishbosheth the king over the other 11 tribes of Israel. Now comes in a civil war. So civil war is imminent because we can have two kings reigning over the nation Israel. So we're going to see how it prevailed. Verse 1, 2 Samuel chapter 2, verse number 1. And it came to pass after these that David inquired of the Lord, saying, Shall I go up into any of the cities of Judah? And the Lord said to him, Go up. And David said, Whither shall I go up? And the Lord said unto him, Hebron. After this refers to the time after the death of Saul and Jonathan, and the period of mourning for them. Now that Saul is out of the picture, David wants to know what to do. He asks the Lord, Shall I go into any of the cities of Judah? Why did he ask that question? He is in Palestine country. Saul is dead, and David is to be the next king. What should his next move be? He waited until he received his instruction from the Lord. David had learned that he must wait on the Lord for direction in whatsoever decision that he makes. You see, we are getting to a situation on this line that it's almost like a repetition. We always enforce and encourage and reiterate that there is nothing in our life that we should take, even if we have the answer, even if we know the initiations, we should always ask of the Lord. And that is what makes a man after God's own heart be. We have to always learn this thing. There is nothing that you have to. Once you make a plan for something, just put it before the Lord and tell God, what shall I do? And it happens. So it is prudent for us, and it is always good and encouragement for us to be people that follows the footsteps of God. God told him to go up to Hebron. Hebron is located in the south of the land, not too far from the Philistine border. God is telling him to move cautiously. He is not to go up and arbitrarily take over Israel, but to move up into the land to make himself available. Isn't it a good lesson for us to know that actually I could have assumed that David should have said that, well, God has anointed me. And I have men who can attest of this. Even when Saul was pursuing me, Saul knew that I've been anointed. So now that you are out of the way, I have to. But God wanted him, even if it is yours, take time and work around it. Take time and work around it. That is one thing. A young lady one day asked me, Pastor, my mother, my father knows that this guy is coming to marry me. We are perfectly matched. What my lacks are found in the man, and what the man's lacks are found in me. I don't know how we met and how God worked it for us. So as the lady was just pronouncing this, I applauded it. But I have to give her the caution that there is every tendency that you people will sleep together before you marry. because everybody understands it. The pastor in your church understands. People around you, friends, all know that you people are going out together. The caution is that the next level of every marriage begins with trust. And if you cannot wait until that trust matured, and you prematurely execute it, that trust will never be there. And remember, there will be problem from day one from your marriage, and it will continue until Christ comes. Even if it is going to be 93 years marriage, you are not going to have it smooth, because you have invited the inevitable. So really, I said, yes. Nobody told you this? He said, no. Everybody knows that we are. And I said, then make sure that you guide yourself. How long are you going to stay in this relationship before you get married? He said, well, we are thinking about next year. I said, next year, make sure that you have good people around you. Don't ever visit the man alone. Don't ever think that you go to movies alone. Take a friend with you. Whenever there is anything that could easily result in the two of you, for a good testimony and a good witness, take someone with you, so that it will brighten your future. And then you will enter into this marriage with a joy. And I tell you, this lady became very free with me because I told her the truth. And after a little while, when it was almost 5 months to the marriage plan as it was, they have already consumed 7 months, 8 months into sin, and then the development of sexual appetite arose in both of them. So the woman was indulging in it, the man was indulging, they were just hiding, but the caution was that don't do anything alone this time. Make sure that you go with a friend. And the voice was standing behind him, behind her, and was echoing stronger and stronger and stronger. Now it got to 3 weeks into the time. They could not resist the temptation. So she called me back. I said, this is the best time for you to make sure that the man never see you, and therefore plan and talk on phone, and that's it. No more movement, no more even going with a friend. Get out of the scene. And don't ever, because this is the hardest point, and the hardest point that you can go through. Said the pastor, I tell you, I don't know that this thing is real until the day of their marriage. After the marriage, the woman testified with a crying that I can never thank Pastor enough for the very vivid counseling, getting me involved and talks in my mind, and as if Pastor knew exactly what's going on in me and was trying to push me off. And I'm telling you that this is not a testimony that I should speak on my day of marriage. 3 weeks before the marriage, temptation broke loose, and I was no match to stand it. But this man kept on. His voice kept on echoing to me. That's premature. It's premature. Wait on the Lord. Wait on the Lord. Wait on the Lord. And here we repeat again, wait on the Lord. There is nothing that you have to take as an initiation without talking to God. Everything that comes up, God wants to see whether you are partnering with Him. God, this is what this person has said to me. This is what this person is promising me. This is what I am due, and it has not come to me. I am going to this procedure. I am going to this court. I am having this thing. Everything inside your life that is going to be a major and change you, you should never tackle it alone. David had the power and had the 600 gallant men that could help him to fight. mobilize the nation, the tribe Judah, and they will go in and fight Ishbosheth. But David walked in cautiously. Verse 2. So David went up thither, and his 2 wives also, Ahinoam and the Jezreelites, and Abigail, Nabal's wife, the Carmelite. And David headed for Hebron. He took with him his 2 wives, who were his wives. At this time, perhaps you are asking, does God approve a man having 2 wives? No. This matter will cause David a great deal of trouble. And later, he will have other wives. You see, just because something is coming from the church doesn't mean that it's pure. Just because God was dealing with this man doesn't mean that he approved every plan of his. God was watching him. This man was making an incursion. And every plan of him, we will see the troubles that goes on with having multiple partners. Verse 3. And his men that were with him did David bring up, every man with his household, and they dwelt in the city of Hebron. David's loyal followers came with him, and they came with their families. Listen, God chose Hebron. David wanted to go to which part of Judah? You know, I've been in a situation that people make their decision, and after that, they bring it up to the Lord, and I always have to be very quiet because I don't want to discourage them. You are moving out, and you wanted to move out of the state or move out of where you are staying, and you want to go and dwell in a place. You will go scouting the place first, and you will have some desire of some places to scout. But when you go in scouting, your initiation is that God must bring you to the place where will be the best for you to reside. And after you've known that, oh, you are going out of the state, so now you ask God, which place do you want me to reside? And he says that now choose this place. That you begin to ask God on the west, on the north, on the south, where? Except God give you the direction of the particular town. And then you can choose to dwell in any place. David, God said that go to Hebron. So David and his men went to Hebron. Verse 4. And the men of Judah came, and there they anointed David king over the house of Judah. And they told David, saying, that the men of Jabesh Gilead were they that buried Saul. Now that David had been made himself available, the men of his own tribe came to anoint him king over Judah. So it's like they were waiting for the day. Even though this was a capital for David, and David could have used that capital to influence and go in ahead of time, God uses methodically to move. And coaching us, he wanted us to understand how we move. Moving cautiously is one of the primary goals, and God always uses that ways to try and give in us, in our time, what we call patience. A lot of Christians have done a lot of spiritual things. They can even go 90 days dry fasting. Whatever they call the fasting will be. But let them come out of the fasting. What will prove that they have grown maturely is their patience. So many people, including pastors, including men, that you can revere have no patience. And God, by the time you get into the stride with God, God wants to qualify you and master you with a spiritual gift called patience. Patience cannot be practiced. It cannot be imitated. It is the fruit of the Spirit. And therefore, if you even try to copy it, it will reveal who you are and make sure that it is not part of you. Because it cannot be imitated. And God only endowed you with patience. And how you come through patience, He will bring you to many heartbreaks, many disappointments, and many other ways just to learn how to say, now I've learned. I keep quiet and I'm watching Him. Even if He promises, you take your eye, or see if the promises is not what you are watching. You are waiting. And the wait brings you the patience. Verse 5. And David sent messengers unto the men of Jabesh Gilead, and said unto them, Blessed be ye the Lord, that ye have showed this kindness unto your Lord, even unto Saul, and have buried him. Can you imagine? What is David showing here? David does a very wise thing. The men who buried Saul were devoted to him, and now David thanks them for it. David has a great respect for the anointed of the Lord. He had two opportunities to slay him and make himself king, but he did not do it. God's good points are often passed over because his sin seemed to obscure them. It is like a cloud that covers the sky and shuts out the sunshine of his life. In many respects, David was a wonderful man after he paid for his great sin every day of his life. David complimented the men of Jabesh Gilead. He really complimented them. Let's move on to verse 6 and 7 and see something. And now the Lord showed kindness on truth unto you, and I also will require you this kindness, because ye have done these things. Therefore now let your hands be strengthened, and be ye valiant, for your master's Saul is dead, and also the house of Judah have anointed me king over them. You see, David was moving cautiously. He knows that the people who took the risk to go and take the body of Saul and bury it tells you that they are people who are loyal to Saul. And in everything, even in his death, they wanted to give him a befitting burial. You see, and in that case, the Bible described in the other side that he was burned, and that his bones were collected, and these men went down to bury. That means that they wanted him as a king, and they had the chance of having the loyalty. So if David never tread cautiously, it would just be that, oh, you are capitalizing on the death of somebody and you are taking advantage of something. David had to go in and almost like a plead and make them feel so big in the sight that this is what I, David, would have done. And if you have done it for me, that is really, really good. Where would we even push this thing into practicality? You see, some people have gone into marriage and have gone into, it might be your second marriage, and maybe the man that you marry has also had a wife before, and something really happened, death or something has really come, and now you are raising up children that we call blended family. blended family is the most difficult family to raise. When you go in, you have your own children, or you don't have a children, you don't have child, and then the man or the woman may have some children, and therefore there is going to be the unity that will produce another children within, so that the children that are coming are called blended family. Today, in every home, they've done a survey to see that blended families are increasing. Everywhere there is a blended family. And the issue is not as easy as we call it blended and polished name. You can either have hostility because the children of the father will feel very superior to the children of the mother. Or whoever that comes in with children, the next children that will be raised will feel either superior or inferior. And so you continue to give them the assurance and then put into. But whatever happens is that if it is marriage that ended in divorce, the one who is coming in also have a problem of fighting not only the issues that will come from the children that are in the home. This woman is going to fight the mother of the children and the subsequent people who were loyal to them. Here David is showing us something, how to keep the blended family and how to use wisdom in holding up them together, so that you don't project yourself as the superior because you have the power now. But rather David went in. The first step he did was that he went on to these men who buried Saul. I'm not saying wisely that go and look for the children's mother and have any kind of chat. But you have to walk out very circumspectly, very, very engaging. And don't ever think that because the children that never came from your womb they are not your children. But you have to watch very carefully, especially when you go in and the man has girls. You know, men and their children, when they are girls, they don't play with their girls. And you have to be very careful. If you marry to a woman who has boys, then you have to also be very careful on that one. It's only God's wisdom that you have to always ask for every day. And this is what is happening in every home. If it is not every home, it is about 5/8 of the homes now known in our culture. Now let's move on. But Abner, the son of Ner, captain of Saul's host, took Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, and brought him over to Mahanaim, and made him king over Gilead, and over the Ashurite, and over the Jezreel, and over Ephraim, and over Benjamin, and over all Israel. Here is the beginning of the division of the kingdom which will come after the reign of Solomon, when Jeroboam leads a rebellion. This is the first fracture. At first, David is made king over the southern kingdom of Judah, but the northern tribes make Ishbosheth a son of Saul after as a king. And trouble is now blowing out. Let's move on to verse 10 and 11. Ishbosheth, Saul's son, was 40 years old when he began to reign over Israel, and reigned 2 years. But the house of Judah followed David. And the time that David was king in Hebron over the house of Judah was 7 years and 6 months. So David had to stay for 7 years and 6 months before the northern kingdom will also come. This was an interval of civil war between the northern kingdom and David's kingdom, Judah, in the south. It depleted the resources and energy of the nation. It was indeed a tragic thing. That shouldn't have happened. But the zeal and then the ego of sometimes people have to instigate. Those who are so close to the throne will always have the kingmakers, because they will also get a position. They try to push things up. Right in Africa, so many places are underdeveloped. Why? Because things are fighting from the same womb. You will see them fighting that a plot of land, that there is a development from the government wanted to put up something that they said, no. When you put up there, it is going to help these people. For us, we will never, so we are not going to. So they will fight tooth and nail and squash that development. If development is not going to favor some people and going to favor others, are they all not the same people from the same town? Yet again, the trouble in Africa spills over. David also saw it. Let's move on. And Abner, the son of Ner, and the servant of Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, went out from Mahanaim to Gibeon. And Joab, the son of Zuriah, and the servant of David, went out and met together by the pool of Gibeon. And they sat down, the one on the one side of the pool and the one on the other side of the pool. Abner and Joab, they have been always the hot blood between them, were attempting to negotiate a solution to prevent civil war. But as you well know, and certainly we in this country ought to know by now, when you have folk on one side who are determined on one cause and people on the other side who are determined on another cause, negotiation is particularly valueless. It is generally an excuse and futility, and that is what happens, and that's what's going to happen here. Let's now turn to 14 and 16. And Abner said to Joab, "Let your young men now arise and play before us." And Joab said, "Let him arise." Then there arose and went over by number 12 of Benjamin, which pertained to Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, and 12 of the servants of David. And Saul, the servant of David. And they caught every one his fellow by the head, and thrust his sword in his fellow's side. So they fell down together. Wherefore that place was called Hilkath Hazurim, which is in Gibeon. Abner said, "Let the young men come together in battle." Joab agreed. This was the way they were going to settle the issue. Let's see who is who. If we are able to raise up hand, we will now know who's saying that we will be under. Verse 17. And there was a very sore battle that day, and Abner was beaten, and the men of Israel before the servant of David. God was still on the side of David. David is a veteran of many campaigns. Now he is not the innocent little shepherd we met at first. He has spent time hiding in caves and dens and on the earth. That is, he has had the collected men of war around him. He is a man of valor. He is a rugged and adept at this type of warfare. So his men are able to win a victory over Abner and his host, an army of superior number. Now I want to call your attention to something that took place which will play a prominent part later on. Abner was followed by Asahel. Asahel was the brother of Joab, who was David's captain. Abner was Saul's captain. And when I talk about Joab, you know that he is David's nephew. David's nephew. And he had a brother called Asahel. We will hear about them, how he killed this guy cold-blooded, and David got to know it. We will hear the story. Now listen to verse 18. And there were three sons of Zeruiah there, Joab and Abishai, and then Asahel. And Asahel was the light of foot as a wild roe. Azuriah, by the way, was sister of David. She had three outstanding sons. And these are the sons, I call them David's nephew. So they were not just people that were following David. He took up the people, even though they were so loyal. David never looked unto that, but he looks also unto their skills that he could easily be. He was the commander of David's army. Asahel pursued after Abner, and in going in turn, not to the right hand, nor to the left, from following Abner. And Abner said again to Asahel, Turn thee aside from following me. Wherefore should I smite thee to the ground? How then should I hold up my face to Joab thy brother? Howbeit he refused to turn aside. Wherefore Abner, with the hinder end of the spear, smote him under the fifth rib, that the spear came out behind him, and fell down there, and died in the same place. And it came to pass that as many as came to the place where Asahel fell down and died stood still. So now there's going to be a revenge, because you can't kill my brother and remain on the other side. So Joab is planning, but nobody knows the cold blood calculated. He's a cold-blooded guy. And David would just reprimand him in one case, because he find a way of killing Abner. Even though David wanted to recruit Abner to come join him, Abner was always running, because he knew that that was not safe, because he had been so loyal to Saul. And for him to come back and now serve the king, whom they were pursuing every day, it was not normal. But he was going slow by slow, and the man was coming closer. But because he killed Asahel, it became a stench in the nose of his brother Joab. Now let's see what happened. And they took up Asahel and buried him in the sepulchre of his father, which was in Bethlehem. And Joab and his men went all night, and they came to Hebron to at the break of the day. So Asahel's funeral closed the chapter. After the funeral, and the man and his men went all night and came to Hebron. And they came to Hebron at the break of the day. They reported to David all that had taken place. This will move us into the third place. We want to finish the third. We want to combine the three because they are the same. Now, chapter 3 continues the account of the long civil war that weakened the nation. Gradually, David gained in strength. Abner, after falling out with Ishbosheth, deserted to David. Joab, David's captain, suspected Abner and seeking revenge for his brother Ashel's death, murdered him. So let's see what will really transpire here. Verse number 1, chapter 3. Those who have joined us, 2 Samuel chapter 3, verse number 1. We're combining the two chapters together so we can get a practical meaning. Now, there was long war between the house of Saul and the house of David, but David waxed stronger and stronger, and the house of Saul waxed weaker and weaker. The condition of the land is one of the internal strife. There is civil war. The nation's energy are being depleted, and their resources are being exhausted. David has been in Hebron for 7.5 years. Let's move on through verse 5. And unto David were sons born Hebron, and firstborn was Amnon of Ahinoam the Jezreelite, and his second was called Chaleb of Abigail, the wife of Nabal the Carmelite, and the third was Absalom, the son of Maacah, the daughter of Talmai, king of Geshur. And the fourth was Adonijah, the son of Haggith, and the fifth was Shephatiah, the son of Abital. And then the sixth, Ithram, by Eglah, David's wife. These were born to David in Hebron. So on the number you are now seeing, that you can see that David had more than 2 wives. He had others, and this will cause a great problem for David. God did not approve, and David did not get by with this. Among the first of David's son is one of the name of Absalom. I'm sure you are familiar with the history behind Absalom. Later on, we will see him lead a rebellion against David. This is the son David apparently wanted to follow him as king, but he was brutally killed by Joab in battle. It broke David's heart when he was slain. Who is the mother of Absalom? Maacah, who was the daughter of Talmai, king of Geshur, who was the king of Geshur. If you go back to 1 Samuel chapter 27 verse 8, you will find that David and his men invaded the Geshurite, and then the Gezerite, and then the Amalekite. I believe David was wrong in doing this. He slew these people, including the king of Geshur, and apparently took his daughter captive. She eventually became his wife. They had a son. It was this young man who led the rebellion against David. Friend, God saw it, that David did not get away with his sin. It was important for us to note this. Here is a very practical lesson for we men of God, people that are serving God in every capacity. Sometimes we use dreams to tell people, God have told me to come and marry you. You know that the woman who is coming into the church needed a husband. Maybe has confided in you and maybe he's also going through some kind of problem, and then tells you about the husband. My husband have denied me, my husband have been sleeping around, my husband have been doing this, and then you begin to talk softly to the woman. You see, every woman needs security. And so when the woman cannot sense and smell security from the other side and comes to you, that's why I always tell people, when they come to report their husband to me, I use the same voice that if I am the husband and you are reporting to me if I have done this thing to you, how will I react? And so when I begin to be too tough, they begin to answer that, I thought that you were going to hear this case. I said, you wanted me to use a pastor's voice to make you look softer, and then your husband will look evil. That's how the pastors break marriages. Because God has given us some kind of unique way of blending. Because God is the God of all comfort. He has taught every pastor to be having the comfort spirit. He said that I have comforted you so that you can also comfort others. 2 Corinthians chapter 1 verse number 3. He said that he is the God of all comfort. He comforts us so that we can comfort others. And so when you have been a pastor for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, you have gained a skill of comforting others. And if you are not careful, and you use the comfort voice for a woman who is going through some battle, you will be able to destroy their marriage without knowing it. And this is where troubles have always eluded in the church. We use voices that are welcoming, voices that will never make the people feel that, because they always say that, oh, I wish that this pastor, look at the woman saying, oh, you understand me very well. I wish, do you know, they wouldn't say it, I wish you were my husband. That's all that was going through the woman's mind. I wish you were my husband. Why? Because you took time to be able to comfort her. But if you just meet fire with fire, the woman will see that no place is cool. Even in the pastor's place, there is no cool. And I begin to explain to them that, look, this is how I'm going to react, and this is what I will be doing. But because I'm a child of God, just to help the church, this is the God's point of comforting you. That's not me. But the fact is that I will just be in my human form and act this thing so that you see that there's no place cool. You have to take it from every point and come to a compromise so that you will do. And that's what David did. David wanted the young lady and want to kill the father. And now you don't have anything. Come to me. And that's how we do. So many pastors have gone out of their way, sleeping with their church folks, sleeping with the other members of they don't care, because they always say. And today I was listening to some confession about a woman who has gone in. She believes and she trusts herself that she believes in voodoo very, very much. She says that she is the chief of the voodoo princess. She says that I don't shy from it. I was in Gambia, that's what the woman was saying. And I was in Gambia, and a man came and he said he wanted to come and partner with a pastor, and the pastor cannot be found. And he is also somebody who loves the Lord. So this woman helped others to organize a program for this pastor. And then the pastor he wasn't a pastor then. He just told her that, how do you feel in this country? And he said, oh, don't worry. As for this country, every place there is voodoo. In Gambia, nobody. There's no home that there's no voodoo. So unless you are strong, you cannot be able to do it. He said, so what do I have to do? He said, well, I have a business, and I believe in voodoo, and I know some malams, all the spiritualists that can help you. He said that, oh, then I want to do miracles. He said, you want to do miracles? I know of one of the spiritualists. He's going to help you. And so they went into the spiritualist, and the spiritualist bought this man supposed to be a pastor. And now this woman helped this pastor out in all their deliberations until the pastor started doing miracles. But the fact is that he wasn't doing miracles. You only come in, and when you come in, you will call your 4 telephone numbers, the beginning, the 4 numbers in the beginning, and sometimes you will call the end of your telephone number, just to spark the difference in the people. And the people were so jubilated and enjoying. So the middle portion of what brought you, there is nothing, no nonsense. There was nothing so sweet that this man would do. But they were paying money because they know they've got someone with miracles. Then at a point, this man, this woman who took him to this Muslim, the what we call a malam, which is a spiritualist. And within that period, this man has become very big and joined a Nigerian church and wanted to bring the same thing into the church. He said the church was called, one of the churches in Gambia, I don't know, I've forgotten the name, and it was a Nigerian pastor. So they were now into big business until this pastor, in a nutshell, had to go around and say that, look, the way you have blessed me, I want to sleep with you. The way it went out in a way that this voodoo woman had to go and sleep with this pastor, all of a sudden this pastor vanished, only to see the pastor appearing in Ghana. And where is it? This pastor is now called prophet. So today, this woman is revealing that I know where I took this man to. I know the malams, they are alive. I can show you and give you the number, and this man will tell you exactly where. So if you people are calling this man a prophet, he slept with me. And what he did to me, I am showing you that this man is not a prophet. This is the money that he owed me, that he signed a check, and the check was on the video that he was showing out. Here is a person that has a church now, grooming other people, but the justification is that they are sleeping with the membership, and that is all it is. I always say that the moment I approach you and I begin to put up a gesture just to make up any way to think as a suggestion that I want to have something with you, don't ever hesitate. Come on this line and raise up an alarm and destroy the ministry. Nonsense. Why can we hide behind God and do all these things? I was only listening. It wasn't pleasing to me, but I wanted to listen to what really the woman was telling, that I have so many pastors that I've taken them out to so many places and I've led them, and today they are pastors and I see them all being called prophets. That was the stake. David had also done that, and God is making him to pay the price. Absalom has to now rise up and then pursue David like no other time. Now Abner joins David. Let's now read from verse 7 and 8. Chapter 3, verse 7 and 8. And Saul had a concubine whose name was Rizpah, the daughter of Ai. And Ishbosheth said to Abner, Wherefore hast thou gone in unto my father's concubine? Then was Abner very wroth for the words of Ishbosheth, and said, Am I a dog's head, which against Judah do shew kindness this day unto the house of Saul thy father, to his brethren and his friends, and have not delivered thee into the hands of David, that thou chargest me today with a fault concerning this woman, it was the exclusive right of the man who was the successor of the throne to cohabit with the deceased king's concubines. Abner infringed on the right of Ishbosheth and became angry, and the king rebuked him for taking Rizpah, one of Saul's concubines, into his own harem. Candidly, the young king was justified in rebuking Abner, but Abner became so enraged that he immediately began to overturn him to David. You see, the issue was not addressed. The man was angry because he has thought that you've gone into this concubine. Is the question true or false? It wasn't an accusation. It was something that was right, because in the law, if I have become the king, I have the right to take the concubine. It's not you from the outside. So if it is so, then I am right. But here is Abner became so bad and felt that this is not the way to betray me. I made you a king. I rather vouch for you to be a king. But the question was not answered. So verse 9 and 11. So do God to Abner, and more also, except as the Lord had sworn to David, even so I do to him, to translate the kingdom from the house of Saul and set up the throne of David over Israel and over Judah, from Dan even to Beersheba. And he could not answer Abner a word again, because he feared him. This is a resilient. This man was a soldier in soldier. He's a commander. He's a general. And we will call him, today's world, we will call him General Maddock. In other words, Abner made known his intention of abandoning the house of Saul and ally himself with David. He was going to help David become king over the 12 tribes. Now Ishbosheth did not say a word to Abner. He was a son of Saul, but he had no army and no training whatsoever. He was not a warrior like the brother Jonathan. He had been brought up in the king's palace, and he feared Abner. That was the advantage that Abner was using, because he knows that this man feared him. Now verse 11 and 12 and 13. And Abner sent messengers to David on his behalf, saying, Whose is this land? Saying also, Make thy league with me, and behold, my hand shall be with thee to bring about all Israel unto thee. And he said, Well, I will make a league with thee, but one thing I require of thee, that is, thou shalt not see my face, except thou first bring Michal, Saul's daughter, when thou comes to see my face. David told Abner he could not come only if he brought Saul's daughter, Michal, with him. You remember that Michal was David's first wife. Saul had given her away from David. Believe me, David had a checkered career. This is the reason he suffered. He let sin enter his life, but above it all was a faith in God that never failed. He wanted more than all else to have a wonderful relationship with God. Yet he has allowed sin to enter. Let's finish this chapter. And verse 15 and 16. And Ishbosheth sent and took her from her husband, even from Phaltiel, the son of Laish, and her husband went with her along, weeping behind her to Bahurim. And then said Abner unto him, Go, return. And he returned. Abner overturned, was accepted by David. We will find how that David will become king of the 12 tribes because of Abner's treachery. You see, now let's see how Joab murdered Abner. All of this time, Joab has not forgotten that Abner had slain his brother. Verse 27. And when Abner was returned to Hebron, Joab took him aside in the gate to speak with him quietly, and smote him there under the fifth rib, that he died for the blood of Asahel, his brother. You see? So Joab avenged his brother's death. When David heard that Joab had murdered Abner, he did not approve of it at all. In fact, he accused Joab of doing a very terrible thing concerning Abner's death. He said a very interesting thing. What did he say? Look at the verse 33. And the king lamented over Abner and said, Died Abner as a fool dieth. Why did David say that? It certainly is a strange word to give to a person. Abner was in Hebron. Hebron was one of the cities of the refuge where a murderer was saved. In that city, Joab could not have touched him. But Joab quietly took Abner outside and said to him, Come out here. I want to talk with you. You are the captain on one side, and I am the captain on the other side. It would be nice if we could get together. So Abner stepped outside the city of the refuge, and Joab killed him. That is why David said, Abner died as a fool. As fool dies. He was a fool to leave Hebron. Isn't that a message for us today? There is a refuge for every sinner in Christ, regardless of how high a man's IQ or how his position in life might be. If he is outside the place of refuge, he is lost. If the truth were told at many funerals today, the preachers would have to say about the departed person, a fool has just died. He will not turn to Jesus Christ, who is the place of refuge. Are you resting in Christ? That's the question. We always go to funeral and we say that he is watching us from heaven. But when they are outside the will of God and outside the enclave of the refuge where Jesus Christ is our refuge, they run away from him, and still we say that they are watching us from heaven. That's an cliche. And here ends our ministry. We wanted to just say that all these things was ready for our samples. These are the training that we can get. Out of the reading will come a lesson. Put up a shoe ladder to it. Let the rubber meet road and talk about what are the experience, what are the things that you have gleaned out of these little chapter, 2 chapters, blended them together and see exactly what speaks to you and what lessons have you learned from this. May God help us and God groom us so that we'll always be loyal unto him. He is our refuge. Run unto him and you will be saved. Amen.